Greetings from the Talal Institute. I'm going to share the school plan for teacher licensing with you. This was emailed by KHDA to most schools earlier this week. And this is a planning document or pro forma that can be used for sharing your intentions and timescale to have all teachers licensed by 2021. The intent of this screencast is really just to take you through the paperwork. There's further information about categories of teacher licensing and requirements for those categories in this email and available directly through Talal. So right now we're looking at the guide page. And the most important item here is the table that shares the minimum targets for teacher licensing across various periods. So as many of you are aware, you will need to have 25% of your teachers enrolled in the licensing program by June 2018, beginning with the Arabic and Islamic Studies teachers. The next wave of teachers, or what we would consider the priority 2 teachers, are math and science teachers, followed by all other teachers. So the next tab is input. Now, I've had a little bit of a play with the input sheet, so you'll see some names on mine that you might not have on yours. I have down here Bob Smith and Joe Jones. This is probably the most important page for you in the document, in that this is where you'll be inputting all of your information, including your intended timescale for having teachers licensed. I'm now at the beginning of the page, so I can add a teacher's name. So here we're going to add Angela Matthews. And I'm going to copy over, obviously you wouldn't do this. Oh, and incidentally, while copying on this document is fine, you want to be very careful not to cut anything. If you're cutting pieces and pasting them, you could very easily end up losing some of the formatting, and the formatting really will help you with this. Now, as you may have noticed, you'll have people, including the registrar or the principal, vice principal on this list, who are not included in the teacher licensing requirements. All staff need to be added onto this table, but when you consider who will be included in the teacher licensing and you're trying to arrive at your percentage of 25, that's actually auto-calculated into this, and it's only taken from the teachers who would fall into the categories that will require licensing in the next 3 years. So, Angela is a teacher. Now, if you look at this, I have a primary teacher and a mathematics teacher that I've previously added, and I'm going to show you a few things that are relevant to both of those categories as we go through. But in this case, we're going to say that Angela is an English teacher. And we'll say she has the same date of joining as her colleagues above. She is from India. She's female, of course. And she has the same birth date as her colleagues above. Purely coincidentally. Make up a mobile number for her. And we'll make up an email. Now, obviously, in the case of your actual staff plans, you will need to put in their real mobiles and then their school email. But in this case, we're using these just as examples. She's on a school employment contract, so her sponsor is the school. She has evidence of good standing. These would be your teachers, obviously, who are rated good and above. Now, her academic qualifications. Let's say that Angela has a Bachelor of Arts in Education. And she has a teaching qualification. She has the certificate she needs to teach English. She has evidence of English mastery. We'll say she's got an IELTS 8. Well done, Angela. Now, evidence of meeting specific KHDA requirements. This does not relate directly to licensing. This would be any other additional requirements that KHDA might have. For example, KHDA approval for Arabic and Islamic studies. So in her case, we will say that this is not applicable. And we'll say that she is a middle school teacher who is teaching English. If you have additional subjects, you can add them over here. Now, the teacher I made up before this, Joe Jones, I have listed as a math teacher. So I put in an M for math and not a Y for yes. And then the teacher prior to that, Bob Smith, I listed as primary. Now, what's important about this is that many primary teachers will teach multiple subjects, English, science, humanities, math. If you mark those additional subjects here, in particular math and science, you're going to have, they'll be batched in with math and science and listed as priority 2. So in the case of primary, you'd be better served to actually write the subject as primary itself. Now, with him, we said that he was U.S. qualified, he has an international teaching license, and it comes from the state of New Jersey. Joe Jones is from the UK, but he does not actually have a teaching academic qualification. His academic qualification was in mathematics. He had a Master of Science in Math. So we have a no for him. And then following Angela, she does have an international teaching license, but it's not from one of the 6 countries that is recognized for licensing by the UAE because it's from her university in India. So in this case, we're going to say no. But she does meet the requirements for a provisional teaching license. So we'll say yes. Her license target date, I'm going to list as January of 19. This is for enrollment in a licensing program. From that point, the teacher will have approximately 12 months to complete their license. Now, what's important to note here is that if I were to go back and change Joe Jones's licensing date as a math teacher to January 20, I'm going to get a red flag over here that his license target date is too late for a math or science teacher. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we'd recommend doing the target dates at the end because what you're going to want to do is to batch through your dates beginning with Islamic studies and Arabic teachers, then moving on to math and science. And then as an individual school, you're going to want to strategize around how you move other categories of teachers through. Now, if I go to school from input, when you go to the school plan, you'll find that the information that's required for showing whether or not the school is meeting their targets is actually derived from the input sheet. So because I had quite a number that I had planned to begin in January, I ended up actually not just meeting, but exceeding the school's target. The minimum target here was 4%, leading up to a target of 25% by June of 2018. The original document had 0% at this time, saying that it was too problematic to meet the January target due to the term setup. Below, you'll find the annual targets. And again, if you're off on the annual targets, perhaps you're planning to begin only with Arabic and Islamic studies teachers and then begin to enroll math and science teachers. You could find that there's a little bit of deviation. You'll still have 100% by 2020, 2021. But if you have a large cluster that you're saving for the end, it may require some explanation in the plan. So let's just go back and change this. So if I go to input and we take these January folks and say, maybe we're being inspected in the first week back, and we just don't think that we're going to be able to do this. I'm going to make them February. Just hit save on this. I'm going to move to plan, scroll back up, and you can see, oh dear, now I'm at 0%. Again, we want to change the explanation here and explain that it's problematic to meet the January target due to scheduled inspection. Now, this information is all carried over from the first sheet. This is run by the ID number. So again, it's just a different way of being able to search the same information, but you'll see that the exact same information is contained here. And this is essentially to prevent you needing to go and reorganize the sheets to do this by name. And then this is another auto-generated sheet which gives you the target dates and which teachers will be engaged in that. Again, it's another way of reorganizing the same information so that you're not going in and making major changes to your sheets which could throw them off. So if you have any questions about how to complete this paperwork before the January 19th deadline, don't hesitate to reach out to us.